Hi everybody, welcome back to Guitar in the Real World. Today we have some Michael Brecker. I'm a massive Brecker fan, and I think studying players of other instruments can be really beneficial if you want to move your guitar playing into a whole new arena when you're trying to build up vocabulary. The great Pete Callard has been putting up a lot of videos on his channel, and he does cover some Brecker in one of his videos, so I'll put a link up to his video because apart from Pete being a great player and a great teacher, you'll be able to get a lot from these videos that he's been doing. Anyway, the example that I'm going to look at today is taken from the Jaco Pastorius 1981 30th birthday concert, and the tune is Invitation, which is a standard, and we're just going to look at basically a couple of chunks from what is quite a long solo. It's at breakneck speed, the original, and when I did my little version to demo this, there was no way that I was going to be able to play it at the speed. It's at about 178 BPM, it's absolutely tanking it, so I've played it at a slightly more sedate tempo. But that's fine, it means you can hear the notes more clearly, it's easier to study. Being able to play all these examples at different tempos is actually more beneficial than only being able to play them fast anyway. You might find that it's easier to manipulate the material for your own soloing when you've got it under control at a slower or more medium tempo. Anyway, this solo begins with a little pickup, and it depends on how you want to count this, but I would say if you want to count it as maybe he starts on the second beat of the bar, he's playing 16ths. I'll play the first little phrase. It goes like this: 1. So that's a little 2-5-1 in C minor, minor 2-5-1. It's really made clear that with the B to A flat to G running down to that C minor, that's a really nice G7 flat 9 kind of sound. So it's giving you the impression of this. Then he plays, the next thing he does is so that's kind of C minor-y, but he hits that nice big A there, which makes it sound like C minor 6, C minor 13th, which is a Dorian sound. Okay. He continues in this Dorian sound for the C minor. Okay, and then we get, or we could finger it like this. Right, it's that really standard bebop line again. So if you're on a minor chord coming from the 4 down to the major 3 down to the minor 3rd, if you remember, we looked at this kind of melodic device in the Drew Zing solo, and you'll see that is the sort of thing that happens a lot in Brecker's playing. So you know, even though he's a more modern player, sort of post 1960s player, bebop still informs his language quite heavily. So you've got like a F6, D minor, again quite common to play sort of D minor pentatonic ideas over C minor. C minor arpeggio, then we go up this, so that's like a 4th thing from C, C, F, B flat. That's a G minor 7th, so that's a sequence. So basically, even though he plays a 4th here, we get into 3rds and he's going up the scale in a sequence. Back to the A, giving us that Dorian sound. Again, it's that that's our big old big bebop sound. And he's playing that on the F7th chord at that point. Before we go to the B flat 7th chord, or B flat 13th, flat 9. If B flat 13th, flat 9, we know that to be a kind of a diminished scale chord, and Brecker chooses to play quite a bit of diminished scale stuff in this. He does this, and he goes. So this is more approach tones. Now what are approach tones? Just as a reminder, approach tones essentially are scale tone above, semitone below. So if you could take the chord tones of a B flat 7th, you could go. If you wanted to do it on the extension, or. So again, that's another thing you find in a lot of Brecker's playing, that he'll play things that sound like they're linear lines, but actually they're really focusing on those key chord tones by approaching them chromatically using the approach tone sort of concept. So we get so that's some diminished there. Then F sharp to an A is taking us out of that scale slightly. So, and then he slides back down to the A flat and the E. So that's kind of outlining an E major. So we get E major, B minor. Why are we playing a B minor on a B flat chord? Well, of course, if you were to play a B flat 7 augmented with a flat 9, it's got a B minor arpeggio in it, so that's why that works. Then we land on a D flat there, which is the 7th, E flat minor 7th, which is the next chord, and it does basically kind of a 2/5 movement from E flat to E flat minor to A flat 7th to D flat 13th for the next section. So it's like the same chords but upper minor 3rd. Okay, so I'll just play that whole thing through slowly again. Okay, bit of a finger twister in places just because of the way that the phrasing works under your fingers. Okay, so there's one other thing that I want to talk about in this solo, and that's a phrase which he does on the D flat 13th before going to C sharp minor 7th, doing a 2-5-1 into B minor basically. But so the chord is basically B flat 13th. But what he does is he plays this. So what is this? It's essentially outlining a D minor 7th, G 7th, a 2-5-1 in the key of C, before going to C sharp minor. Or you could just call it G 7th, which is the tritone substitution of D flat 7th. But it sounds quite 2-5-y to me. And it's quite a common device, again, over the beboppers started to do over standards, where you take a 2-5-1 and you play the 2-5, a semitone higher, and then play the 2-5 of the key that you need. So, for example, if you've got a, let's say in the case of a 2-5-1 C sharp minor, F sharp 7, B, instead of doing where you could sort of play before that, you could play a 2-5-1, a semitone higher, and that's essentially what he's done here. So the phrase is this. It lands on the C sharp. Okay, great. So that's a little journey through the wonderful playing of Michael Brecker. I might well do a video where we expand on what you can do with this vocabulary once you've got it under your fingers, because learning licks and then putting them into isolation kind of doesn't really do anything for you. You can actually deliberately use practice techniques to get this vocabulary into your own playing. So I'll look at that in another video. Okay, so have a listen to my more up-to-speed version, and of course always listen to the original version as well, which I will put a link to in the description. Okay, I'll see you next time, guys. Cheers!